As if Nebraska-Colorado week couldn't get any more interesting or important, it turns out bragging rights aren't the only thing up for grabs on Saturday. Matt Rhule has scheduled upwards of 25 to 30 recruits, 3 5-stars, including Michael Terry III. Let's just say this guy looks like the real deal at multiple positions. 5-star offensive lineman Jackson Cantwell, which honestly, I don't care about his tape. I don't care about his scouting report. Get him in here. Give him whatever he wants. I want as many stud linemen on this offensive line as possible. And then wide receiver Brandon Arrington, who to me, Gary, reminds me a lot of Husker freshman Ja'Cory Barney Jr.
Those are the marquee type names that we've kind of heard about already, especially Terry. We've got 11 4-stars. There's a bunch of 3-stars. And you know how I am with the ratings. We've heard Matt Rhule kind of sound similar, you know, in his opinion of the rankings and the ratings, stars and all that stuff. He's going to go after guys that he thinks are fits for the system, the program, and third-party ratings kind of be damned, you know, from what I've gathered from what he said about it. To your point, man, it puts a lot more emphasis on this game. There's players on this team that haven't seen this environment, right? That they've played here for a year or two and haven't seen a game situation in this stadium that's going to be the way it's going to be Saturday night. So this is going to be a big deal for these recruits. It's bigger for the program because Dylan Rhule, a legacy. His dad played here. His uncle coaches here. Huge get for the team. Has brought in other big end talent for us. But now it's time for Nebraska to get over that hump of they can win marquee games. Regardless, Colorado won 4 games last year. We only won 5. You know my thoughts on how big this game really is compared to the hype that it has. I don't think it's that significant in terms of what it means for each team going forward after the game. Whoever gets the loss doesn't mean their season's over. Whoever wins this game doesn't mean they're going to the playoff. There's for sure a history behind it, blah, blah, blah. Showing these kids that don't know Nebraska being what we know Nebraska having been is a big deal when the glitz and glamour that I like to troll and clown and we all like to talk shit about Coach Prime in Colorado and things like that. It's real, right? There's a reason why he's on every commercial. There's a reason why every one of their games is on primetime slot or a big game channel. It means something to these kids, obviously more than it does to us, but that doesn't change the reality of it, right? So if Nebraska can get a win, let alone a good big win, and those guys are there to experience that environment and what the program is really about and has the potential of being, man, you can sway a lot of people in one night if you do everything right.
Last video I mentioned that we talked about the rivalry before we recorded for like 4 hours. I said it was a conversation. It was a lot more like an argument.
Which might surprise some people, but that's how the vast majority of our conversations go, is one trying to convince the other one they're right.
But with the number of recruits and the quality of recruits coming this weekend, does this change your mind even a little bit? Do you feel like this game has more importance now than regular games?
My first response is no, but when you think about it, it has to be, right? Like if potential high-end recruits are on the line, then absolutely. I can't sit here and lie to myself, you know, or try to stick a stick in the ground and be like, no, I told you it doesn't. I'm not saying the game doesn't have any significance. If you're on prime time or there's hype leading up to it, whether I think it's warranted or not is irrelevant. You want to win those games. You need to win those games, right? Like that's what kind of starts to separate you and get you back to a higher tier level of a program that we all want to be at. My opinion doesn't matter. There's going to be an emotional reaction. And I don't mean teary-eyed. I'm saying people are going to feel something that are in that stadium. Even Colorado fans that hate our guts and want us to all die on the ride home and want the stadium to burn down, when they feel what it's like in that stadium, and then when the light show and drone show and fireworks and everything else between the third and fourth quarter happens, they're going to go, oh shit, this is dope. I still hate these guys' guts. It forces an involuntary reaction out of you. It's going to do the same thing to those players, but instead of hating, favoring, liking, loving, having an indifference on who the players or the teams are on the field, they're instantly going to go to, dude, I could be on this field right now doing this. And that does something. But if you lose, it's like, yeah, it's cool, but the team still sucks, right? So now you get a win and it's like, that's super dope. I could be involved in that. And if they're doing this the second week of the season, what does it look like if I'm able to help this team have a home game in the playoffs, or have a pivotal game against Iowa last game of the season here? Like there's more to it than just what I was shitting on Colorado and everybody else about the other day when we did the video of it being, two bad teams that are playing week 2 and they're not even in conference play yet. So it does put more significance on the game for what it can do for your team down the road. And to be honest with you, in my opinion, Matt Rhule mentally, and there could be more, it could be me being narrow-minded, but he has 2 ways of looking at this. This is going to be a crazy environment, so I want these guys here for this. Or this is going to be a crazy environment, I want these guys here for this, and I feel super confident that we're going to win it. And this is really going to move the bar, move the meter. Everybody who plays college football, as you're recruiting guys and you see that meter and you're trying to keep it above everybody else, this is 10, 15 green arrows up as opposed to the 4 or 5 you get on a visit or send in the house or whatever else you want to call it. So yeah, man, I think it's strategic by Rhule to have this many guys at this specific game. And I think it means a ton if Nebraska can win, let alone look impressive, and the environment still ends up being what it is. I think it goes a long way for you in the long run, down the road.